Well, I made it. I'm in the hospital. I I find after about this is now 8 days since I first went to hospital. They kept on discharging me. The first time because I asked. The second time I went was yesterday when I after I fell on the floor, and then they discharged me again. But I got very poorly again in the afternoon, so or just a few hours later. I was only in my room for an hour, and I had to get an ambulance again back to the hotel. And I managed to persuade them to admit me. And it's a private hospital, Univalia. They're really good. It's a teaching connected with the university. It's a kind of teaching hospital, but it's very good place. And they give you a nice room. It's not cheap though. But there you can see outside the window, maybe, up the mountain. It's Cochabamba. I love the city. And so it turns out that what happened was when I was in Panama in that hospital. Well, before that, I think I contracted TB on the when I was in Turbo. I think somebody deliberately gave it to me. That gay-looking guy who came up and smoked my cigarette and gave it back to me. He was somebody. And then the minute. Well, that wasn't necessarily that, but the next day, practically, I went down with an absolutely horrendous bronchial infection, and that's when I stopped swimming in Turbo, because up to that point I was going out to the beach every day and taking a big long swim, and that all stopped because I was so damn sick. And I never really got over that, and then eventually I ended up in Capurganá. And I think what did me a lot of harm was smoking really, really old, really stale cigarettes, because they were all I could afford. I smoked the most horrendous fucking cigarettes, like 2 years over their use by date. They were really fucking awful. Why did I do that? But they were the only ones that anybody sold loose at any reasonable price. Otherwise, you had to buy a packet for like, I don't know how many, 10,000 Colombian pesos or something. So, whatever. When I got to Panama, I actually they told me that my lungs are full of TB scars. Nobody diagnosed me with TB at all. So there's a story. I still haven't told the story about Panama properly, but oh boy, what was I going to do? I was going to tell a story just about this trip. So it turns out that I've now got COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, because of the scarring. And what happened was it got infected, and in addition, what they discovered last night only, and only definitely very late on, it was only last night they discovered, after they're doing an echocardiogram, this ultrasound, then they found clots. And it turns out that I've got, I had some very, very heavy pulmonary thrombosis, two clots, and that gave me pulmonary hypertension, because the heart was pumping the blood down the artery into the heart, and it wasn't able to enter the tissue. It wasn't able to enter the, what are they called? The spongy bits. It was all blocked up. And so this artery was massively expanded, and that was what was basically causing all the problems. I got practically no oxygen when I needed it, but when I was quiet, it filtered through. But then the rest of the time, I was just, my lungs were just full up of blood. So that's why I felt so bad. And I got admitted, and they last night 2 o'clock in the morning they stuck they do this thing. It is almost heart surgery, but they go in through the arteries and the veins, and then they can see stuff and do stuff. And they checked my heart, and they said there's nothing wrong. My arteries are fine, and my heart's fine. The whole problem was this vein in my lungs, and they found the clots, and they put some declotting, the the high-tech version of warfarin. They did some targeted treatment remotely using this endoscopic system, and honestly, I was better in an hour. Just took an hour to get better. And then they kept me in a medium, what do they call it? After intensive care, the next one down. They kept me there until 10 o'clock today. And I got a breakfast, and I just had lunch, and it was really nice. And I feel fine. But my God, you just feel the consequences of these problems and how they spread. God, it's everywhere. Your toes go cold. Your fingers go numb because the blood's not getting there. And several times I was in emergency being stabilized. Especially the second time I came in, it took them half an hour to get my blood pressure and everything right again, because it was just completely off the scales. But that's the first time I've ever had an operation where I've been completely conscious of everyone in the operating theatre and everything, and able to hear everything they do, and they can talk to me and I can talk to them. And there's just one dodgy bit where I started vomiting, or wanting to vomit, but there was nothing there to vomit. And it was amazing. With 1 second I knew I was trying to vomit into a bag, and the next minute it was as if I had been taken on everyone in the operating theatre, and they were all trying to hold me down and stop me from, I don't know what, I have no idea what, but the next thing was just, con calma, calmate, calmate. I've been fighting them for some reason. That's the only reason why somebody would say that to you, isn't it? So somehow I went from, there was another person. There were two of me in this one body. One first tried to vomit into a bag, and the next one tried to cause a brawl. I should ask, if I get a chance to talk to somebody, ask them what I did. But they say they've got a video, so I could ask for the video. Wow. But it's the first time I've seen the level of professionalism and the way they all did it was lovely, really lovely. I got no end of admiration for these people. I just wish it wasn't so damn near impossible. Most people wouldn't be able to do what I just did. Most people in this country just they die. You die if that happens to you, and you haven't got thousands and thousands to spend on a hospital. But I'll tell you what, yeah. Yeah, that's enough videos. I watched Wayne Coyne, The Flaming Lips, singing American Head again, and that really chewed me up. That album's absolutely brilliant. I think I'll just leave it at that. I really should write down more about what happened in Panama, because I got myself into trouble with the Senafron, the Servicio Nacional Fronteras, the frontier police, because I shouted at one of them when they tried to make me sign a waiver saying everything I had been treated humanely and decently after keeping me 7 days away from the hospital, and I shouted at them. So, and because of that, they made it even worse for me. It took another day to get into the hospital because of that. It wasn't just me that was treated inhumanely. It was lots and lots of people. Lots of people. There were women miscarrying. There were women who'd been raped. God, it was a nightmare. We were all being driven around in the backs of Land Rovers while people essentially, did nothing. King bastards, those guys. And they found out I was an author, and then they started being very nice to me. So I think I really should write this down. But right now, I think I'll just take a bit of a rest.